I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sins.
92-year-old Pauline Jacoby reads her Bible every day. Her strong faith keeps her going in life, and in the process may have saved it. Jacoby had just finished putting away her groceries inside her car at a nearby Walmart. Only seconds after Jacoby got into her car, a man jumped in the passenger side. The man told Jacoby he had a gun and that he would shoot her if she didn't give him money.
I said, no, I'm not going to give him my money.
Jacoby told him no 3 times. Then she started to talk to him.
You know, because you killed me, I'll go to heaven and you go to hell.
She told him to ask God for forgiveness.
I said, Jesus is in this car and he goes with me everywhere I go. And he just started looking around and the tears began coming in his eyes.
Jacoby ministered the man for 10 minutes inside her car.
And he says, I think I'll go home and pray tonight. I said, you don't have to wait a minute. I said, you can just pray anytime you want to.
As tears were rolling down the man's face, Jacoby voluntarily gave him all the money she had, $10.
And when I told him I was going to give him the money, I said, don't you spend it on whiskey either.
The man thanked her for the money, and then
he started kissing me on the cheek.
and walked away.
He walked away.
And I was really scared. I was really scared.
Ernestine Aldana was scared, but she was also very brave. Almost 2 weeks before Christmas, when a robbery suspect entered her grocery store at the corner of Muskego and Beecher. You can see his right hand covered with his jacket sleeve as he takes a beverage from the cooler with his left. Seconds later, with his right hand, he pulls a knife on Ernestine and grabs her cash register. Instinctively, she pulls a gun from underneath the counter, and the suspect runs away.
I mean, I didn't remember what was being said. I mean, I just took a step back, I grabbed the gun, and that was it.
The wife and grandmother says she and her husband have owned the store 2.5 years and never had a problem until this. She says her son bought the gun for their protection, but never thought they would have to use it.
My son, Nick, he took me out to the shooting range so I could shoot the gun, which I did, twice, actually. And I won with my son, Tom, too. But other than that, no.
Milwaukee police released the surveillance video on YouTube, hoping someone will recognize the suspect and turn him in. Ernestine says she believes he's from the neighborhood, a guy who goes by the nickname of King. She thinks he's been in the store before. She considers herself and the suspect lucky.
I shouldn't say this, but I think I was going to shoot the gun, but he was already running away. And once his back was turned, I actually couldn't do it.
My dear remaining fellow Australians, the end of the world is coming. It wasn't Y2K, it wasn't even the carbon price. It turns out that the Mayan calendar was true. While Australia's best and brightest at the CSIRO have not been able to confirm this, I'm confident in Triple J's prediction that the world is about to end. Whether the final blow comes from flesh-eating zombies, demonic hell beasts, or from the total triumph of K-pop. If you know one thing about me, it is this. I will always fight for you to the very end. And at least this means I won't have to do Q&A again. Good luck to you all.
These are the voices of grandmothers ranging from the 60s to 90s in the Karigocho slums of Nairobi. This is their version of a war cry as they fight to defend their human rights and especially their sexual rights.
Nimejiunga na hii kikundi ya karate kwa sababu ya maisha na hali vile iko. Kwa sababu ya tupate angalau mafundisho. Washosho wengi wamekufa kwa hii kijiji. Wengine kuhangwa kwa madirisha.
Today, they are in class to learn how to fight potential violators. Sheila Wairimu was so concerned with the grannies from Korogocho that she started karate classes for them.
Way back in the year 2005, when we experienced rape, and especially on grannies who used to be raped and brutally murdered. I was able to encounter 3 cases of old women who were raped and brutally murdered by young boys. Together with my friends, we were able to start a self-defense team.
The single mother of one spends 2 days in a week training the elderly women in karate. Her classes are free, despite the fact she herself struggles for money by selling coffee. On average, she makes about $2 a day, hardly enough to sustain her family.
I sell coffee, black coffee, very early in the morning at the apartment that I live. Sometimes I do go to schools, upmarket schools. We ask for paid classes. When we get this small amount, we are able to buy flour for the grannies. The hall we are using right now, where we're standing, we pay 1,000 in a month.
The self-defense training sessions are a homegrown response to violent attacks on grandmothers in the slum. Young bandits here often rape elderly women before or after committing a crime. They believe that this will prevent them from being caught. Sheila was taught the knack of martial arts in 2005 from a volunteer. Now it is Sheila's turn to volunteer. In the past 3 years, she has trained over 60 elderly women in Korogocho.
Bila nilijiunga na hii kikundi cha washoshoji kinge, kulikuwa na shida nyingi. Mara nyingi sisi wa mama wazee, nyumba zetu ni za matope, na vijana walikuwa saa ingine kama mimi walikuwa wananiingilia huko kwa nyuma, wanabomoa nyumba. Wakati nilifunzwa kutumia no hiyo na pana nimekataa, hiyo imenisaidia kama ilinipatia ujasiri.
Statistics from the largest gender-based violence recovery center in Nairobi indicates they treated 4,815 people who were raped between 2008 and 2010, 4,093 of whom were women. But this is just a fraction of the total cases reported nationally, as many cases go unreported.
Since inception, that is in 2001, we've been able to serve over 15,300 survivors of gender-based violence. When I say gender-based violence, I'm talking about both domestic violence and sexual violence. Of course, sexual violence is the highest. 90% of those cases are of sexual violence. 49% of them are women. 45% are children. And around 6% are men. We do have cases of elderly women, like probably to mention, our oldest client has been a 105-year-old woman. Just last week we had an 80-year-old woman who had been gang raped by 10 men.
Fact is, women's rights remain a sensitive subject in Kenya, making rape a hard crime to convict.
Sexual violence is one of those private offenses, if there's a word like that. First, for people to discuss about their sexual or reproductive organs, it's an African. Our gender desks at the police stations are there's still a lot to be done. Survivors are still going to the police stations, and the kind of questions they are asked demotivates them. Despite all this,
Sheila continues unrelentingly with her endeavor to arm these women with the valuable self-defense skills and at least restore their self-esteem. But why?
My heart goes for the grannies because of what they were going through, and seeing that they are, because of age, they are old and frail. No one is able to stand and fight for them.
Sheila, however, envisages a future free of rape cases, not only here in Korogosho, but in other parts of the country, where she intends to start similar classes and continue with her efforts to empower more elderly women to defend themselves against violators.